everybody for coming today for our workshop, Keeping Your Money Safe. And Mr. Kenny Barrett, I might say something else. Barrett, with the State Employees Credit Union. He is the Senior Financial Services Officer here in Kenansville. And Mr. Cocky actually asked him to come. He's not able to be with us today, but we are glad that you're here to share with us, and look forward to learning a lot.
All right. Thank y'all for having me. So, I'm going to try to talk a little bit about understanding your credit, as all of us are to the age of where we're either have borrowed money or will be borrowing money in the coming days or years pretty quick. Then we'll talk a little bit about some of the fraudulent schemes that are going on now and what to do to help protect yourself. And so if you have any questions, write it down, and I'll try to make sure I answer everyone's question before I leave. Okay? So, understanding credit. Obviously, credit is money that's loaned, usually for a fee that must be repaid. Your credit score is compiled by the lenders so that when you apply for a loan, we look at your credit score. Now, at the credit union, it's not a credit score based lending. So you wouldn't walk in and we pull your credit and say, well, okay, you have X number as a score, you're approved or denied. Okay, we look at your overall picture and your portfolio being what type of loans you have, how much debt you owe, what your monthly income is versus your monthly expenses. We call that your debt to income and your disposable on that. So, a credit report is a document that contains a factual record of an individual's credit payment history. So whenever you borrow money with different lenders, they report to the agency on how you paid them back, so that we can use that as a guide and as a judgment to how we're going to try to predict if you're going to pay us back or not pay us back or whatever. So what makes up a credit score? 35% is your payment history. So 35% of your score is made up on your payment history, being how well you paid each lender. 30% of it is going to be your outstanding debt. So how much do you owe? 10% is the types of credit. Are we looking at a bunch of credit cards? Are we looking at 1 or 2 credit cards, a car loan, a house, a mortgage on there? What types of credit do you have? 10% is your credit inquiries. So basically, whenever you're going to look at buying a vehicle, we use this as an example a lot of times, you go there, they're going to try to pull your credit so that they'll see what rate that you can get. They'll try to shop the rate for you. So if you know that, say you're going to go through State Employees Credit Union, then what we'll do is try to advise you to come see us, get pre-approved for that car loan. Then when you go to the dealership, you say, bring me a bill, give me a bill of sale, you bring that back to me. They don't pull your credit. Because as people pull your credit numerous times, it can have an effect on your score by lowering it. Okay? Not drastically, but like I said, we're not credit score driven, but you may in the future be in a market on buying a home and you start shopping your rate, and let's just say you go to the local bank downtown and apply for a mortgage, and they say, well, if you've got a 700 Beacon score, then you're going to get 2.99. Well, let's just say that you have just recently had a bunch of inquiries, and let's say your score falls up under that number. Now you may not qualify for the program, so it's important on there. Plus, we look at it when we pull your credit. At the bottom, we look and say, okay, they've been applying for a lot of credit here. What's going on? Are they just accumulating a lot of credit? Because if you go, say on Tuesday of this week, you went and applied at like 4 or 5 places, it's not going to directly put how much you borrowed that day. If you got any, you may not have borrowed any. You may have just been trying to get things in order for future lending needs. But we're going to say, okay, did they really borrow any money, or where are we at? Do we need to consider that for their debt income? And then 15% is their credit history on there, okay? So payment history tells you if you have paid your bills in a timely manner, or states that if you have late payments. Outstanding debt is the total amount you owe to various lenders. Examples, your credit cards, car loans, mortgages, so forth. Credit history, how long you have specific accounts established and how long you've used each account. So it's good to say, okay, you know, I've had that credit card since 2005, never made a late payment on it, you know, good to go on that thing. Shows that you've been able to stabilize and pay payments over a certain period of time and not just borrow money today and pay it off tomorrow or just within a few months. Credit inquiries, again, how often you apply for credit, the types of credit or the number and different types of accounts you possess, okay? So we hear about credit and some people say, oh, you don't need to borrow a bunch of money and get in debt for different items. That's true, but we have what we call good debt and bad debt, okay? Good debt is what debt that most of us don't have enough money saved up to go buy a house and pay cash for it. Most of us don't have enough money saved up to go and buy a new car. So there's some things you may have to borrow money for, and that will be fine. The bad debt is, let's just say you run up a bunch of credit card debt, you get ready to go on vacation, and you start putting your vacation on your credit cards. And you just, it's fine that you have to reserve a room on vacation on a credit card, but I reserved it, but I know I can pay that off in a short amount of time, or pay it off when the bill comes in. That's fine. It's then when you say, you know what, I'm going to go on this vacation, I really don't have the money, we're just going to have to put all of it on there, and over the next year or two I'll pay that off. While we all want a vacation, we don't necessarily need to spend that much money all the time on one. So you got good debt and bad debt. Basically, good debt is if you're adding assets to your portfolio. Okay, bad debt's going to just be adding a bunch of liabilities, extra expenses that's going to come up to your household every month. Okay, I'm going to leave. I have an expense tracker here, so that each of you can make some copies, how many of you need it. But it's going to have transportation, food, medical, personal care, entertainment, and other items. I encourage each of you to take this, pull up your accounts online, your checking account, however you do your spending, if you pay cash, keep a record of where your money's going, and you'll be surprised sometimes. So a lot of times people call us and they're like, I don't know how I don't have that much money at the end of the month. I make good money, and we'll pull it up and say, well, you do make good money. You don't owe a lot of debt. So where's your money going? And usually we can sit down and figure out, if they'll keep up with the records, where their money's going. We'll be surprised at how much you spend, on food and different things like that. So you think about the price of food, and if you eat, breakfast and spend $5 a morning, there's $25 a week. Then you add in lunch on top of that, you're looking at least $7, $8. So let's say if it's $8, there's 40 to go on top of 25. So we've had $65 in the week, and we hadn't even eaten supper or gone through the weekend. So it can add up fast on there, and that's where a lot of times people's money goes. So I'm going to leave this, make copies of however you need to do that. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about your credit report or anything like that before we go into fraud? Okay. So I want to talk to you a little bit about placing a fraud alert on your account and being aware of what fraud is. So we were talking out in the hallway, and right now there's one going around where people are calling and acting that they are an IRS agent trying to get your information. Okay, we call that phishing. Okay, they really don't have your information. They're trying to get you to bite that hook to, in return, they probably got your name from somewhere, but they don't have your bank account or anything like that. If I call you from the credit union and I say, hey John Doe, this is Kenny from the State Employees Credit Union, can you give me your account number where I can pull it up and go over this with you? If I have your phone number and I was able to look you up, chances are I already have your account number. Okay? If you think it's fraud or fishy, say, you got a good number? I'm in the middle of something right now, but I'll be glad to give you a call back. Hang up, call back, see what happens on that, okay? So, placing a fraud alert. The alert lasts 90 days, but you can renew it however often you need to. Why place an alert? If someone has misused your personal or financial information, you may want to put an alert on your credit. If you've lost your purse, your wallet, you lost your driving license, some of us carry social security cards in there. There's a lot of information that is on that people can use. We're talking about the personal information. If you have a checking account, a lot of times people want to put their phone numbers and their driving license number on your checks. While some places require that, when you go to cash that check or process that, we recommend that you don't put it on your checks. If I go to Walmart and they want to know that information, I'll be glad to write it on that check at that time. Most individuals you write it to, it's not going to matter. They're going to take it, it's going to deposit. The reason for it is, if I lose my checkbook, that's that less of an information that they've gotten now. But if you go ahead and you put it on there, now they're just gathering more and more information if you lose it. So we don't recommend that you put your driving license number and phone number on there. It doesn't take long at all to write on there if that merchant needs it. Okay. The fraud alert is free. You must provide proof of your identity to that. You only have to call one of the credit report agencies. So you have TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. Now, I'm going to say at least call Equifax, because Equifax is where the lenders in your southeastern United States report to. So that's where the majority of your information is going to be pulled from here. So, but by calling one, they are to notify the other ones as well. But at least you know the main one for our area is on there. Okay. You can renew it after 90 days again, and you are able to get a free copy of your credit report each year. So I'm going to give you the website. Please feel free to write this down to get this. And like I said, you get one free one a year. I highly recommend you to go online and check it. It should allow you to print it right there. If not, every once in a while, it'll have a little hiccup and ask you to mail in the request, provide the documents, and they'll mail it back. I've done it both ways. Okay? So the website is www.annualcreditreport.com.
You got it, Pam?
Annualcreditreport.com. And I know there's a lot of commercials out there now with Credit Karma and all these others. Not saying anything bad or good about it, I don't know. But this is the one that your financial institutions are going to tell you to go to. Annualcreditreport.com. And like I said, you'll be able to get one copy from each of the credit bureaus, but make sure you get one from Equifax. Okay?
The only reservation about annualreport.com, it is what it says it is. You can only get one copy from each one once a year.
Correct.
Whereas with Credit Karma, and I do use them, to my surprise, they are extremely reputable in detail.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked. I didn't think it would be. I was just kind of reserved from doing it, but it's pretty in-depth what you can find out about all of your creditors
Right.
through Credit Karma. It's free, and I use that one religiously.
But it costs, correct?
No, it's free.
It's free.
It's totally free. No hidden fees, no
Right.
nothing. Totally free and very detailed.
Okay.
Very detailed.
And like I said, that's something, like I said, not knocking any of them,
Right.
On there. Don't know how accurate some of them may be. It may be extremely accurate, on there. I don't encourage people to pay $5.99, $6.99, $10.99, whatever it is a month to have your credit report sent to you every month. That's a waste of money. Okay? There's no need things don't change that fast with your personal finances that you've gotta know it every month. Basically, what you're doing by getting this credit report is you're making sure that what information is on there is legitimate and it's the information that should be on there, okay? Don't worry about your score, okay? If you pay your payments on time, your score will take care of itself and it'll go up. Keep how much you're borrowing down and keep paying on time and your score will take care of itself, okay? Make sure that the credit reporting companies have your current contact information so that if they need to, they can get in contact with you, okay? Also, when you place that fraud alert on your credit report, they're gonna give you a PIN number. You're gonna need that because if you apply for credit somewhere, there's gonna be a freeze on there and you may have to actually call in to take the block off of your credit report so that that lender can process the transaction that you're applying for. Be consistent when applying for loans or doing any business transactions, okay? So if you get your mail at a PO box, make sure when you're applying, you're in the PO box. If you get at a fiscal, go to fiscal. When you apply for a loan, don't give them your nickname, give them your full name, just like it is on your driving license. So many times, people will use, whatever name that they go by, and it gets mixed up on there. We even see sometimes mix up on children that are named after their parents because they'll forget to put junior, second, third, wherever they're at, on their names when they're applying. And I've seen the children have parents' information, and I've seen parents have the children information. While if they've paid on time, it's probably no big deal, but most of the time the issue becomes when one of them didn't pay on time, and now I'm having to ask you to go gather information to verify that that wasn't you. Whether it be, maybe they had a judgment on them, got laid on a credit card or whatever. So make sure you use your name just as it is on your driving license, okay? So, does anybody have?
That's confusing me though.
Huh?
I have my own social security number, and so does my dad, and I'm named after him, and I am a junior.
Mhm.
And there's an issue right now, and I have a problem being transparent about this, because nobody knows the particulars, but I can share this much. Whereas I made some purchases in time past, and they're calling my dad, accusing him of the one who made the purchases when I did. I told them they know that I did. They're harassing him, and it's not fair because he's clueless about these purchases. We just have the same exact name, but I'm a junior. Made on my social security number, not his. The system has to be sophisticated enough to know that that card was in my name with junior on it under my social security number, not his.
Right.
Why try to contact him?
Yeah. And that was my thinking is, why isn't this thing driven by a social or a date of birth more than a name? But you think about it, a lot of times we get offers mailed in the credit card, in the mail. And, you may or may not have to put your social security number on there, maybe just your last four, whatever. So I wish it was driven more on a social, like I said, date of birth, but it isn't. Like I said, we see a mix-up several times a year on junior, senior, second, third, and so forth and so on. And a lot of it, people come in and they'll just tell us their name. Like I said, we'll go on that, and they don't say, well, I was a junior or whatever, or they don't put it on their bank account. So when I pull up your account, we're going along talking about what you need, and I see your account set up, John Doe, and keep on going, but I don't see John Doe Jr. because you didn't let us know, or they won't key it in. And it is a glitch, but like I said, the way to avoid that is just make sure you put, who you are on there, carry it forward. A lot of times, especially women, once you get married, you'll drop a name. Some women go by their middle name and not their first name, so you actually end up dropping a maiden name and adding you're married. Well, even though you go by your middle, they'll go through there and won't put their first name. They'll just say, well, You know, instead of James Sally Smith, they'll just say, oh, okay, yeah, Miss Sally Smith, you know, and go through on that end. But you need to use it just like it is. But sometimes dropping that maiden name, they'll think, well, okay, I dropped that one, I'll move the other ones forward. But you didn't go through the legal process of doing that. So do that. Has anybody got any other questions about your credit report or fraud, naming issues? Okay. So, like I said, right now, the local one that we know that we've had people call us within the last 2 weeks is the one about IRS. Okay. If it's too good to be true, chances are it is not true. Like I said, you know, again, the lady I had with the IRS, I told her, I said, look, you know, and I know that if you owe money to the IRS, they're going to send you a letter detailing what's going on and why you owe the money. Well, I haven't received any letter. Okay, well then chances are you're in the clear, okay? So another one is house alarm. So we buy a house, we want to get a security system set up. This can go two ways. You can have a system that was already in the house. Someone now sees you move in, they'll come by and say, well, you know, I'm here to update your system. They go in and actually what they do is unplug your system, put whatever information they need in there. Later on down the road, you know, they're sitting here monitoring when you come, when you go. Your house isn't secure at all. You leave, the next thing you know, you've come back, you've been robbed by the ones that installed your security system. Or the current security system calls you and says, look, we're just wanting to check in with you, let you know it's not working properly. You're going to say, well, yeah, the gentleman or the lady came to the door and asked me, you know, would it update, and they act like they were from your company, and so I let them on. So be careful, identify them. If you need to, call the company. Hey, do you have this rep and this agent, you know, in this area here working? So just double check. It's a whole lot easier, less time, less headache, less heartache to make sure before you get into it. Like I said, the other one, that's your update. The other one is they're not affiliated with an alarm company whatsoever. And they'll come in there, they'll drive you vans that look like it. There again, you know, they're really not putting on anything in your house to secure you. Just like the old vacuum salesman, you know, coming around. We all get tired of them coming door to door. You know, are they really selling a vacuum? Or are they trying to do something? Or are they coming in the house, spying around to see what's there? They're sitting here and saying, well, okay, well, if I can't come today, when's a good time? You know, or do you work, or what time do you work? Next thing you know, you've given them the time that your house is available for them to come back. So say, hey, leave me your name and number. Got a busy schedule. I'm going to be in and out some. Let me call you, and we'll set this time and date on there. So just be careful with that. If they're wanting to be pushy, and you know, if you're getting ready to leave somewhere, well, you know, let me get in here. Just let me show you this. Let me show you that. Most of the time, if I go there and you say, you know what, I'm fixing to leave. You know, I got to step out and run some errands. Well, okay, well, when's a good time to contact you? You know, that's the ones that are going to be legit, that's going to be cooperative with you most of the time. Okay? I'm sure we've all ran into those instances before. At some point, you know, come there, people come to your house, the door-to-door salesman. And while I respect people, I know there's people out there that make a living going door-to-door. That's fine. I just want to make sure the ones that are coming to my door and that I let in my home are legit from there. Okay? So, again, avoid the phishing hook. You get an email, it seems legit, click on the link above, you click on that, it's going to start asking you for information, that then going to act like it's going to verify information. Chances are it doesn't have any of your information to start with. You're fixing to tell it everything it wanted to know, and it didn't have anything on that. So be careful about that. Be careful about emails coming from untrusted sources. I'm sure there's probably a policy here on campus about opening up attachments and downloading files and such just for your security breaches on there, just as we have from work. So that's why we usually don't give our work email out to everybody, because we don't know what kind of virus you're sending in to our computer that may hack, personal information from our members. Okay. Your phone scammers, they're spending their days, they're smart. I always said, if you have people that are hackers, if they would apply themselves to a real job, man, they would be some wealthy people, but they're pretty smart, But again, they sit around all day thinking about these things. And if they can just get a few people to bite on what they have to offer, look at how much money they're going to get off of it. So, not many of us carry cash anymore. Everybody's using their debit card, correct? So, let me tell you how you can get hit on this deal. So, you go to the restaurant and you give your card to the waiter, waitress, whomever it may be. They have a device in their pocket that is called a skimmer. They slide the card by the pocket. It picks up the information. Then they have somebody potentially out in the parking lot, meeting them at whatever time. Just say, okay, look, I'm going to get numbers from 5 to 7. I'll meet you in the parking lot at 7:30. What happens is then they have the system to download off of that information that they've gathered. So you say, well, okay, well, what's the benefit? Well, the benefit is, let's say if John is in the car and he's going to pay Jack, the waiter, $5 for every card number he gets. Now, you think about how many customers he may wait on in that restaurant in a 2-hour, 3-hour time period. Okay? Like I said, most of us don't pay cash, so there's a lot of cards going through there, or getting access to whomever's cards. So now, how many ever, let's just say I took him 100 cards. Now, Jack has $500. John in the car, yes, he's out $500, but he's got 100 cards that now he can go online and figure out which is good, which may not have enough money in their account, and now he's turned that $500 into 5,000, 50,000, how much ever he can get on that. So continue to look at your accounts on a regular basis. Now that doesn't mean you got to pull it up every hour, but at least once a day, pull it up, see where your card's been used at. Okay, yep, I did that, and make sure it's you. We had a video one time of a gentleman going up to a large gas station to where there was a center hub, looked like maybe an ATM in the middle. He had a brown bag. He laid it on top of the ATM. So some people say, well, okay, it might have been, his lunch, maybe dressed up as a construction worker. He laid it on top of the ATM, act like you're doing something at the ATM, and you walk off. He leaves his bag. Nobody says, hey, sir, you left your bag up there. Well, that thing is picking up card numbers that are coming within a close sight, maybe at those gas pumps. Then what happens is he comes back in an hour or two, goes back, reaches out there, gets his bag, it's got all the numbers that they want on there. So a lot of times, if you've ever been a victim of fraud activity in your account, typically you'll most times see a small charge, maybe a penny, $1, $2, and they're going to look and say, okay, I'm going to process this. It came back, the card wasn't closed. Now let me just start seeing how much money, I can really get off of that card. So keep a check on it, your card. Not trying to scare anybody on using your card, just be careful on who you give that information to from there. Like I said, I'm as guilty as the rest. I always have, a card and not a whole lot of cash on me. Okay. We had one several years ago to where they were faking kidnapping. So these people get your information, you know your children, maybe know your siblings. They'll call you and say, hey, this is so-and-so, and I'm in trouble. Can you send me some money, to help me out? Maybe my car broke down. And, most of us are gonna try to help a family member out if we can. Yeah, the next thing you know is that really wasn't a family member. Like again, hang up, call back. If you do not know that's them without a shadow of a doubt. Hang up, call back, okay? Spotting an illegal pyramid scheme. We're all pretty familiar with this, on how it works. So basically you go around, they tell you need to recruit a bunch of people in this. And the more people you recruit, then your income is going to be based on what they sell. And then they're going to recruit people, and then you're going to get a percentage of that, okay? So they're trying to encourage you to buy their product, buy a lot of their product so they can sell it. And all you do is just keep going in debt for different things, okay? So, identity fraud victim was hit every 2 seconds in America in 2013. That makes the number of victims climbing to 3.1 million over the year in 2013. In 2012, there was only 500,000 victims. So you see this is, every year, I was trying to see what the numbers were for 14 and 15, but I was unable to find that today. But 13.1 million over a year, every 2 seconds. So, we've been in here for 35 minutes. If we multiply that by 16 and divide by 2, that's a lot of people that's been affected by that. Okay? So, y'all have any questions about fraud or anything? Maybe what to do if you detect it, or?
You definitely got me concerned about these schemers, because I'm usually really on top of this, because I'm IT, but that one I hadn't thought about, and I'm so glad you
Which one was
mentioned
that
where the waitress, where the
Yeah,
waitresses
yeah.
just slide their pockets, because everybody gives their credit cards
That's
mostly.
right.
And we don't think about, we think it's just going to the machine or to the
That's exactly
computer
right.
or the touch screen that they're using and swiping, but now they're,
Yeah, now, like I said, you can just
see,
keep
I'm
on
already
walking.
thinking right now how
Yeah.
to change that. Right now, I am really,
Yeah.
how to change that, and I'm already
Yeah, I
gonna
thought
tell my
about that
parents
too.
about that.
Because
I'm
they
so
take
glad you
part.
shared that.
Yeah.
I'm
Like I said,
glad
you
shared
just
that.
walking and, you're not gonna think, because you don't have to pull the device out of
No,
the
you don't,
pocket.
it's just,
You
and
just
I
sit
know what
there
it is
walking
that they do. I know
and
what
just
it
pick
is.
it right on up and keep right on trucking with it. And like I said, to them, they're the middleman. And every time a scheme or every type of fraudulent activity, there's always a middleman. And you think about it, I don't know how you would trace it back to them, because in the end, they didn't use it. Unless somebody throws you under the bus with them, the chance of that isn't gonna happen. So, I made me $500 extra that night, or like I said, it just depends on whatever your deal is. That's just using a $5 example. But it is pretty scary on
It's
how
making it
things
very
can happen.
difficult for people now, because people really don't always necessarily have access to cash either.
Yeah,
Because the cards are convenient, and then now you gotta decide, well, when is it best to use cash versus when is it best to use a card?
Yeah.
You just can't,
So-
can't have life as usual.
yeah, we're putting a chip in your card now.
Right,
So
exactly.
we're trying to make it
Exactly.
harder, but
Mhm.
there's always that extra level, but it's gonna be there, and somebody's gonna find out to do that. So it's always
There's
gonna
always
be
gonna be something to
something
counter.
changing, that's right.
Something's gonna always count.
You're gonna put it there, they're gonna figure it out, you're gonna have to go back with the new technology. So, what are they trying to do now? They're trying to pull it up. I personally wouldn't do this, but now, most of us have smartphones. So what are they talking about? Now is you
Using
can
your
have all
smartphone.
your, that's right, you can have all your cards.
And hit,
Oh, I'm
take
gonna
that
pay you.
device.
That's right,
Tap
you're gonna take my advice.
Mhm.
You think about how easy it's gonna be for somebody to tap into that. I would never encourage anybody. But what they're doing is they're pushing the convenience factor. Same thing with the debit cards. They push the convenient factor with the debit cards. They push the security factor in that mom and dad don't have hundreds of dollars on them anymore. They just got a card. And while in a way it is safe, because if you come to me and you say, I didn't do this, this is fraud, here's where I was at, the credit union or your financial institution should back you if they find that this is a legitimate claim, that you're making. So that is the safety behind it. The problem is you're fearing now because you're like, if they got that information, what else do they have? But like I said, the criminals are going to use the convenience factor against us. But keep in mind with the phones, when you start doing all this, yes, it's nice, yes, it's easy to keep up with, but you think about it, how easy is it going to be for somebody else to get that information on there? So that's like we get people to call in and want to check their balances over the phone. They get mad at us sometimes because we won't give their balance over the phone. It's not that I don't want to, it's I don't know who else is on the other line. I don't know if somebody is standing there with you forcing you to get a balance, and I'm doing this to protect you. So, if you hear people say, well, I called in and they won't give my balance, explain to them why we won't give you a balance. We give you the opportunity to call the 1-800 number. You've got a 3-digit PIN, or you can go online. You can go to the ATM. There's numerous ways to get that balance. But again, we don't want to be held liable that if something like that happened to somebody got your information on there. So, there was an app that came out about budgeting one time, and I had thought about downloading. I was like, this is good. I can keep up with it as I go. And I just got to think about that. I was like, I just don't know how good I'm going to like that, because if I just got to put in raw numbers, nobody really knows what these numbers are. But if I've got to deem state employees, if I got to deem BB&T, First Bank, Southern Bank, whomever, now people are getting too much information off of. I got to keep up with accounts. So you almost wonder if the days we went back to writing checks and keeping up the transaction register wasn't the best days that we really had in all of this. So yeah, it's just like we're getting ready to go on vacation, and we've been saving up cash, and I'm going in with it with cash. We're going on the cruise. I know I'm going to have to back it with a card. I'm not using my debit card. I'm going to back it with my credit card so that if something happens, I'm not out of any money, because we know that whenever you go in there and you do your dispute, it can take up to 3 days to get your money back, right? Well, if it's got it back on my credit card, I'm not worried about it taking 3 days. I just got to get it back before the statement comes out. If it comes out of my checking account, 3 days can be an eternity. As well as, what if you're on a 4 or 5 day vacation and it happens day one, you got to wait 5 days before you get back to dispute it. Then you wait 3 more days. You got a week and a half tied up into this thing. So just be cautious. So we're going cash. I know once we get on the cruise, they have their own little cards. I'm just going to do it like a prepaid. Hey, here's that. Keep up with it. And when I get close, I'll either add more or be done. So there shouldn't be a charge on that card when I get back.
Kenny, have you heard of the card? And this is really a great thing, and I do it now, and I have my family doing this. And it's an American Express card. It's like the My Bird. It was like through Walmart at one point. And it's like a real American Express card with your name and everything and the numbers on it. And you can transfer monies from your account to that card, only the amount that you want on that card. So if you're going on vacation, in addition to your cash, you use that card. If that card is stolen, or whatever the case, only the amount is up. If you only have 50 up there, that's all they can touch.
It's like a prepaid.
You can use it to purchase. It works the same thing as a real American Express, but you are deciding the limits on that card.
That's what I have right
And it's great. That's it. That's it. That's a phenomenal card.
Yeah.
Right there. Bluebird. It's called
So
Bluebird.
you can get it online
Yes.
for free.
And they're
I got
free.
mine online.
And they're absolutely free.
So you have
Yes.
that, and then we have a product that is similar to that, and
It's
called
like a
our
debit
Cash
card,
Points
but
Global
A
account.
prepaid, but
So it's
it
a
doesn't have
prepaid
an account
account,
attached to it, so if
sort of,
somebody was to break
to
into
where,
it, they won't be able to get it.
there's no overdraft or anything like that, so you go in and
Right.
say, move X dollars to that, you got the Visa logo on the card and you use it.
Same
But
exact
that's right,
concept.
they only get whatever's on that card.
Exactly. Same exact concept.
So, that's good, to have
Like, it's good
a
for
type of
online
prepaid card,
shopping. Yeah.
especially because you don't have to pay another $1 or $2 to activate. You, like I said, you just keep throwing money on it.
No, ain't
you know,
no
as
fees,
you
no
need.
nothing, it's just,
So, and I always try to, I always try to tell people, do that. Put your money over there to where you're not giving up your information that all of a sudden somebody took $1,000 out of my account.
Right.
And now it's the end of the month and I can't pay my house payment or I can't pay my car payment because I've been a victim. And now, then what happens is I don't pay it. Well, what if I didn't catch it in time and it got reported to the credit bureau that I was late? Yes, I was late, but it was because of a victim of a fraud and I didn't have the money. It wasn't because I didn't want to pay it. And there, it's just a domino effect. Everything happens on there. So
there are some good safeguards in place if you
Yeah.
know what they are, that measures you can use. A lot of people who rent cars require some type of credit card
That's right.
up front. And in a case like the Bluebird or the prepaid, you're only putting that amount up there that actually can be utilized for that.
Yeah.
So they can't do anything else with that information.
Yeah.
Once that's gone, the card is
yeah.
no good until you put some more money back on
And you
it.
talk about
Yeah.
rental cars and different things like that. Google, do your research on the company that you're gonna rent from. Not to name any names, but you can
We know the
go,
common ones.
locally, within about 45 to 50 minutes from here, there was a huge company that were taking people's money on limo services. And if you go Google that, you'll see. It's not far from here at all. We had several disputes coming in. But they would try to say you were damaging the limo, you won't get your money back, and it was damages that were already on their limo to start with, and they got hit and actually were forced to shut down. Like I said, just read up on it. Do your research.
Keywords, research, very good.
So,
Excellent.
Do y'all have any other questions? Anything you want to share? Like the Bluebird card with the other classmates? Well, thank y'all for allowing me to come out and speak to you.
Thanks for there's a workshop that said more than 25 people.
Thank you again for coming today. We appreciate it.
Miss
Hey, and
Yeah, so your evaluations, when you leave, you could just hand them me, or we put a face down and take them.
Yeah,
Thank you all for coming.
Is it Barrett or Gary?
Barrett would it be?
Just a token.
Oh, okay.
Yep.